Howdy, amazing viewers and subscribers, and welcome to a brand new exciting Doctor Who topic video for today. So for this video, I've been talking to quite a few people about Doctor Who companions, and they were telling me their list, who would they like to see come back. And to be honest with you, I'd like to see a load of companions come back. So this is basically my list where I tell you which companions I'd like to see come back and have an adventure with the current Doctor, or maybe a future Doctor at some point. But I would like to see these come back. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, companions can't just come back to the Doctor's life, well, some of them already have. I mean, if you look basically from the beginning of the revival era, we had Sarah Jane, we had K9 for the first couple of seasons of the modern era. And then, of course, basically we had Jo Grant in the Sarah Jane Adventures in 2010. Then, of course, we had Captain Jack Harkness. Then, of course, we had... well, you could say, but Captain Jack Harkness isn't really a classic companion. But no, he actually did meet the 9th and 10th Doctors. But then, of course, he comes back in the 13th Doctor's era. So we don't really see Jack for 2 Doctors' eras, or 10 years. And then, of course, Jack does come back. And then, of course, we see the return of Ace and Tegan back in 2022, along with basically Jo Grant again, or Jo Jones. And, of course, we also see Ian Chesterton's return after a very long time away, before William Russell passed away. And then, of course, back in the 60th anniversary, we had the return of Donna, and we also had the return of Mel, who basically is now a member of UNIT. And, of course, Mel did return in season 1 or season 40 of Doctor Who: Ncuti Gatwa. So I'm there thinking, you know what, talking about companions I would like to see come back. Now, there are so many companions in my list I would love to see come back, and they are basically from classic and modern Who. Now, I'm going to say this in general, there's only one modern Who companion I would like to see return to the show. Just one. And the rest on this list are all from classic Who, because I absolutely love classic Doctor Who so much more than the modern era. I think modern era of Who kind of lost its way after the Capaldi era, and mainly with the Tennant era as well, the whole romantic sort of stuff, where Capaldi feels much like a classic Doctor and he feels so much like classic Who. So I really think modern Who could generally go back to the ways of classic Who. I mean, if you have these companions come back, it will make long time fans like myself, and of course like Mark, who I went to the Blitz Hill with, where they filmed Mark and Irani, and some other iconic Doctor Who fans I've met, and Whovie fans I absolutely love talking to, and they all have their favourite companions, and a lot of their favourite companions are generally from the classic era of the show. So here are my companions I would like to see return to the show. So, number 1, Susan. Now, Susan was the Doctor's granddaughter back in the very first season of Doctor Who, travelling with William Hartnell's first incarnation of the Doctor. Now, Susan, of course, is the Doctor's granddaughter, so it makes more sense for Susan to return. Now, with her being name-dropped, basically quite often in the last season of Doctor Who with Ncuti Gatwa, I think it's a perfect time to return Susan, because one, the actress Caroline Ford is still alive, so you could actually have her come back for one-off episode, and then of course that will make me happy, you'll make other Whoers happy, and I think you will even make another sci-fi guy happy if you bring back, as you could say, Caroline Ann Ford, because she is the only original companion left alive after basically Ian's passed away, and of course Barbara's passed away, as well as William Hartnell. Then, of course, I would like to say that I would love to see Big Finish play more into this kind of return, because we know in Big Finish, the 8th Doctor has met Susan. And, of course, he's met his great-grandson, Alex. So it would make more sense if you're going to bring back Susan, you bring back his grandson, make his grandson proper canon. Now, if you look at the word canon, some people think Big Finish isn't canon, but I like to consider Big Finish as canon. So if you're going to bring back Susan, you've got to bring her child, his grandson, into it. And I really feel that'd be quite interesting, a little place the Doctor does actually have family that he didn't even know of. But you can see, but if he met them in his 8th incarnation, surely he would remember. Well, timey-wimey. That's what I'm saying. It's timey-wimey. So if you're going to bring back somebody, bring her back Susan, and of course, bring his grandson into the mix. Then, of course, companion number 2, Vicky. Now, Vicky travels with the First Doctor mainly through season 2 and the first 2 stories of season 3. Now, Vicky basically left in the age of Troy, where she left to go and get married. Now, I would love to see a fantastic setting period of Modern Who, where the Doctor lands back in the year of Troy, but mainly like a year or 2 years out of way, or basically like say her in her actual current age, have Vicky in her current age, and basically have the Doctor materialise, and of course he's got to try and stop an alien invasion, and he bumps into Vicky, and he's like, Vicky! Like that. And of course, I remember Hartnell being very, very fond of Vicky, mainly thanks to season 2 being on Blu-ray, because I absolutely love revisiting stories on Blu-ray, and season 2 is the one I've kind of gone back and revisit a lot for Hartnell over the last couple of years. Season 1 and 3, very mishmashy, but season 2 is the one I've gone back to rewatch quite a lot. And I really like how her and Hartnell's Doctor kind of connect, Vicky and Hartnell's Doctor, so I love to see the return of Vicky. And then, of course, Stephen, played by Peter Purves. Now, Peter Purves is still alive to this day. I would love to see the return of Stephen. Now, Stephen's story is actually missing, so you do need to get the Targi book. If you haven't got the Targi book, you're going to need to get it on CD to listen to how he leaves the story with the First Doctor in The Smugglers. But I would love to see the return of Stephen. I really would love to see the return of Stephen, because I absolutely love Peter Purves. He is such a good character, aka Stephen Taylor, in As We All Know, the Time Middler. What do you think this is? A space habit for Cal? Honestly, absolutely love it. I really do love Peter Purves, and I would love to see him return. Then, of course, diving into the Second Doctor era with Polly. Now, Polly is the last Hartnell-type companion to be alive, because she made her fantastic debut with Ben Jackson. Now, Ben, unfortunately, the actor that played Ben has passed away quite back in the early 90s. So Polly is the only one still alive from season 3 and season 4, because Polly kind of stayed the majority of the companion through basically the last couple of stories for Hartnell, and then she was a Patrick Troughton companion. So really, for Patrick Troughton and Polly, I would love to see the return of Polly, because when we last saw Polly, she actually landed back on the same day she left in the TARDIS in the War Machines. So I would love to see Polly return and have meeting a new Doctor. Imagine her face when she sees the TARDIS and she's like, Doctor? And of course she'd have Ncuti Gatwa or a future Doctor come out, and of course they're like, Polly, nice to see you. How have you been? Like that. It would have been quite interesting to see that, I think. Then of course we got to have Jamie. So Jamie is definitely the biological companion to the Second Doctor, and the Second Doctor and Jamie had such a good chemistry, including the Sixth Doctor saying that he was always fond of Jamie. Now, Jamie was played by Theresa Hines from 1966 to 1969, and of course he did come back for the 5 Doctors, and then in 1983, and then of course in the fantastic story known as The 2 Doctors. Now, Jamie was sent back into his own time zone and have his memory wiped of meeting with the Doctor. But then, of course, in season 6B, you got Jamie traveling with the Second Doctor, so you can have more of a play with that, making a future version of the Doctor meeting Jamie as an old man, which is something that I think would be interesting. I know that Big Finish have done that with the Second Doctor meeting Jamie from his own future, where Jamie's a lot older. But I would like to see the return of Jamie. I really would, and I think it would be absolutely amazing. Then, of course, we have Zoe. Now, Wendy Perry is still alive to this current day, as she is literally in some of the collection box sets behind the sofa fragments. So I would love to see the return of Zoe. Zoe is such a good companion. She was literally intelligent like the Doctor. You had that fantastic intelligence sort of play between the Second and Zoe. So I would love to see the return of Zoe and have more of that intelligence battle with the current Doctor. I would really love to see that. I really would. So yeah, I would love to see Zoe. Again, for the Third Doctor era, I would love to see Jo Grant return. Now, Jo Jones, basically as we know, she married to Cliff Jones, and of course she did come back in the Sarah Jane Adventures, and she had a little bit of a cameo in The Power of the Doctor. But I would love to see Jo return. I would maybe have her working for UNIT, and that she's basically been a secret informant for Kate Stewart on a secret mission. Or basically you could have a return in the war between the land and the sea, as Jo did actually encounter the Sea Devils back in 1972. I would love to see the return of Jo. I really would love to see the return of Jo. I think it would be a great dynamic with her with a current Doctor. I think that would be absolutely brilliant. Then, of course, having Sergeant Benton return as well. Now, Sergeant Benton is the only member of UNIT to be alive after Nicholas Courtney passed away back in 2011 and Richard Franklin passed away back in 2022. So I would really love to see Sergeant Benton return before he passes away. I would love to meet him in person because I absolutely love Sergeant Benton. So I would really love to see the return of Sergeant Benton. Maybe having come back and he literally sees Kate and let them have a kind of a reunion sort of thing, and they're talking about the good old days. And basically her going, oh, I have met the Doctor again. What, have you? Yeah, he's changed his face quite a few times, but I have met the Doctor. And then, of course, have the TIEs materialise in Unit HQ and right in front of Sergeant Benton and let him see the Doctor pop out the TIEs and he goes, Doctor! Let him have that big grin on his face. I would love to see the return of Sergeant Benton. I really would. Then, of course, Leela. So Leela is kind of a hazy one because Leela went to Gallifrey. She did fight in the time with the War Doctor. Then, of course, you got the Trail of the Last Day where basically she was transported back in time to the Fourth Doctor. But you can actually have that as a little bit of a retcon sort of thing to try and promote the season trailer. So we could always have Leela return. Now, Leela, as you all know at that current time, she was actually on Gallifrey. But what if she left Gallifrey to hide away from the Time War so the Doctor didn't destroy her? Maybe the Doctor saved her life just before he literally killed all the Time Lords and basically sending Gallifrey into a pocket parallel universe. What if the Doctor took Leela in a different planet, in a different time zone, somewhere she was safe from the Time War and she can actually live out the rest of her days? And the Doctor literally landing back on that planet where he left Leela in his War incarnation and basically meeting Leela once again. I really think that'd be quite interesting and have that as a fantastic little duel. Romana 2. I would love to see Lyanna Wood return as Romana. Now, Lyanna Wood kind of had breakdown relationships with Tom after they got married and then they got divorced. And I don't think they're on very good terms because when they did season 17 and season 18, she never came back for Behind the Sofa. And I think that was mainly because with Tom. So I think with Lyanna Wood, she could come back with a current Doctor and basically not have that having her meet Tom Baker again if that's the issue between her and Tom. Maybe you could have her with Ncuti or her with a current Doctor or a future Doctor at some point after Ncuti. It will make more sense to see Romana's return. Now, if you're going to think about canon-wise, Romana did kind of went back to Gallifrey to become the president of the Time Lords for a little while. So maybe we could have Lyanna Wood basically living her last couple of days before she has to regenerate into Romana 3. And the third Romana that we meet through Big Finish with the Sixth Doctor. You can have that a very, very point of timey-wimey stuff. So I would love to see the return of Romana 2. I really would. Then, of course, diving into the Davison era and the basically Tom Baker and Davison era, I would love to see the return of Nyssa. So we had the return of Tegan in The Power of the Doctor. So what if we have the return of Nyssa? Why can we not have the return of Nyssa? I really think it was a missed opportunity not to have Nyssa in The Power of the Doctor, considering that we found out in the Sage Adventures that Nyssa and Tegan kind of got married. So what if the Doctor kind of in a future or current version of the Doctor kind of landed back on Terminus where he left Nyssa so she could go and help find a cure for the humans that were basically dying of this disease in that story. So what if the Doctor literally finds out Nyssa's basically done that and he thinks it's time to reunite her with Tegan. So he takes her back in time, basically to the present day, and of course he reunites them together. So you got Tegan having a happy after, and of course meeting Sarah and Nyssa again, and of course let them get married at that point. So why not have that? Eh? Let's have Nyssa's reunion with Tegan at some point. Let's have that. Let's have Tegan's return as well. Even though Tegan has already returned, you know, you could actually have them reunite in that same episode, like I just mentioned. So yeah, I would love to see the return of Nyssa. Now, I was going to say Tarlo, but I'm not too keen on Tarlo. I never quite liked Tarlo as a companion. I liked him in the Black Garden trilogy and a little bit of season 21. I don't really think Tarlo should have a return after he went back to his own people after his punishment of his father's crime was lifted off. So I was going to say Tarlo, but I'm not. So I'm going to say the one companion from the 80s I would absolutely love to see return. And that is, of course, Peri. Peri Gilliam Brown. Now, I absolutely love Peri. She is in my top 10 favourite companions of Doctor Who. Maybe she's in the top 5. I need to do a top 5 companions or top 10. But I absolutely love Peri. And I really love Nicola Bryant because I have met Nicola Bryant. And Nicola Bryant is such an amazing actress. And of course, I've met her. And of course, she's in the Behind the Sofa stuff. I would love to see the Doctor going to the planet where basically she has become married to Brian Besant's character and have Brian Besant back as King Locarnos. And let them be invaded by a bunch of different aliens, have a new alien race kind of invading that planet, and the Doctor's there trying to stop it. Of course, he meets Peri and he goes, Peri, and Peri's like going, who are you? And Peri doesn't know who the Doctor is, and basically have that kind of bit going on. The Doctor's there telling her, I remember you from the old days, you know. You were me, and you know, I was a little bit of a bugger towards you. I tried to strangle you and all that. So why not have Peri come back, and when she sees the TARDIS, she goes, Doctor, is it you? And let the Doctor go, yes, finally, you know it's me. You know, have that kind of moment. And I would really love to see Peri's return with the Doctor. I would love to see a reunion between Peri and the Doctor at some point. I really would. And I really love that. And let her travel back with the Doctor. So let have King Locarnos die and let nothing be left for Peri. So of course she ends up travelling with the current Doctor in the next future season. So have the return of a companion who basically goes back to be a companion to the Doctor. I would love that. I really would. I absolutely would love that. I really would. I would love to see the return of Peri. I really would. And then, of course, the final companion I would like to see return has got to go to Freema Yagma as basically Martha Jones. Now, Martha was a companion to the 10th Doctor, and she's actually the strongest companion to the 10th Doctor because I don't know about Martha, she had a good character arc. She's kind of there going all lovey-dovey over the Doctor, and then, of course, she realises the Doctor's travelling with the Doctor's very dangerous. People get burned, and then, of course, she goes and gets married to Mickey Smith. Now, with everything going on between John Barrowman and the actor that played Mickey Smith, I don't care if he comes back or not. I would still love to see the return of Martha. Let her basically split up with Mickey. Let them have gone their separate ways. And, of course, she's working with UNIT. And, of course, she meets the future Doctor. Or Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. I would love to see the return of Martha. I think it'd be such a great, fantastic reunion. So that is basically Doctor Companions that I would love to see return. Who would you love to see return in the Whoniverse in a future season, or if you could bring back a classic companion? Let me know in the comments. Please do like, subscribe, and share, and join me for more awesome Doctor Who content. And thank you for being magnificent viewers and subscribers.